FlossTube, it's Catherine, the Needleberry Stitcher. Today is Saturday, March the 7th, and I'm back after only a week, which is unusual since I've been gone for so long, a few months. But I thought, I felt like filming today, and it's kind of a rainy day outside, so there's, it might not have good lighting in my room here today, but so I can't go outside and do anything in the rain, so I'm going to do some stitching. And before I stitch, I'm going to do a FlossTube. So thanks to everybody who watched my last video. I was surprised that you all still remembered me, but really nice to have you back. And to anyone who's a new subscriber here, this is a channel about cross stitch. I pretty much only talk about cross stitch. I do other crafts. I've once in a while do crochet. I once in a while do knitting, but for the most part, I've dabbled in quilting in the past, but not in many, many years. So I really just talk about cross stitch. I live cross stitch, I breathe cross stitch. If I'm not working, I want to cross stitch. Everything's cross stitch for me. So I think I'll just jump right into the cross stitch, because what else am I going to talk about? I only worked on 2 projects this week. The first one was the Heaven and Earth Designs 2026 SAL, and for that one I'll put a picture up here of what it's going to look like when it's done. I chose the chart called The Wise and the Brave. Is it The Wise and the Brave or The Brave and the Wise? The Wise and the Brave, I think. And so I'll also put a picture here of where it was last week, and I keep shaking this around. I apologize because it's probably going to give somebody a headache if I keep, it's just a straw. I was like, I'm going to use it as a pointer, but now I'm like fidgeting with it, so I'll try to keep that out of frame so it doesn't bother you. Okay, so I should have shown you already where it was last week, and I haven't gotten too much done. Like maybe, I think I maybe have like 800 stitches since last time. I didn't have tons of time this week to stitch in the evenings. I was working late most evenings for a project that had a deadline of this week, and so that project is done, and so now my brain is free and I can stitch a little bit more in the evenings. So and here's where it is now, and I mostly just kind of worked in this area a little bit and then started filling out this row to go across the row. I mentioned in my last video that I've started doing a combination of Max Color Stitcher, who is based off of Stitch-A-Mommy with the typewriter method, and so I'm not parking. I'm mostly just like working out the threads, and if I can't find a spot for it to, like, if I either work out the thread until the thread is gone. I do play thread chicken a lot. Like, there's only 2 more stitches. I can make 2 more stitches with this 1-inch piece of thread. And that really just, you know, kind of wastes time. I don't know why I do that. But anyway, I guess it's kind of a challenge for me. But so I'm working across the row, 10 by 10 block all the way across, picking a symbol in the next 10 by 10 block, top to bottom, left to right, and then working across. And then once I get to the end of the row, then I come back and find where's the next 10 by 10. I started out this project by I was working on just 1 page, and I was just going to do page finishes. Because, I mean, at the very beginning, we got the chart in December for the HAED sale, and we were told if we finished 1 page that we would get the exclusive Amy Stewart chart, which is, what is it, Amy's cross stitch, I forget what it's called even. I have it, I like it, I might start it, but probably not right away. It's beautiful, but once that challenge was gone to finish a page, I just started working across the top row, and so I'm doing the rows now across. But yeah, I mostly just worked in here, so I hope to get a page finish. And I think what I was saying was, I started out doing parking and stuff, but I just work out the thread until either the thread's gone, or if I still have thread left, but I don't like to count too far away from the main area, otherwise I'm afraid I'll make a counting error. And I don't use gridded fabric. I don't know why, but my brain just doesn't like it. I would have thought that I would have really loved it, but I just don't. I like just a plain white or off-white or non-gridded fabric. I think my brain doesn't like the fact that it's a thread that comes across that marks the 10 by 10 block rather than the spaces between the threads that is the actual. So I never know, like, should my first stitch be on a grid line, or should my last stitch in the block be on the grid line? And then I forget how I'm doing. It's just confusing for me. I don't know. I just never did it. So anyway, so that's how I'm working. So I don't like to count too far away. So if I get too far away where I find a symbol in Pattern Keeper for the next color, I just end my thread and just move on to the next color. So that's where I'm at on this one. So hoping to get this row done this week. I'm at 18.28%, which I think is a, let me see, I don't have the stats in front of me. I think it's 16,200 and some stitches out of 88,800. So it's 18.28% complete. I'm trying to get 10% per month. So if we look at the math, I didn't get my 10%. I got 10% in January, but I didn't get 10% in February. So I'm catching up right now. So as soon as I can get to 20%, then it's kind of like a reset. Okay, now I'm like doing the next 10%, which I want to have done by the end of March. So by the end of March, I want to be at 30%. 10% per month will get me finished in October of this year. So that is that project. And then the other project that I worked on is my Mirabilia Queen of Freedom. And I'll show you a picture of what that looks like when it's done. I'm sure a lot of you know it's a popular one this year because it was re-released in December. So I had the pattern because I have the, you know, as part of my collection. So I had the pattern already, so I was able to start it a little bit earlier than when they actually shipped, from when people had bought it and it shipped. I think it was wasn't till January where everything shipped out. So I was able to start it on January 22nd, and I had everything except the Kreiniks. And in my last video, if you want more information on the substitution metallic threads that I used, they're called Radiance, but in my last video I went through a whole thing on like how I found the conversion and how I figured out what threads and how many strands and all that stuff. So you can go back and watch that one. And I've also substituted in the flag, only in the flag, I've substituted for DMC, I've done Petite Silk Lame braid, which has a tiny little sparkle in it. And so the flag is gonna have a little bit of sparkle. Not full on shimmer sparkle like the Kreiniks and metallics, but just a teeny little bit of sparkle in the flag, and I really like it. It looks really good. So this is where it was the last time that I showed it, last week. And I don't think I got a ton of progress since then, but this is where it's at now. And I'm not gonna unroll it and show the whole thing, but that is where I got to. And I'm not sure if you can see any of the sparkle. If I move it, if you can see any sparkle there in the, a little bit of a twinkle in the blue and in the red. So it mainly is just the blues, the reds, not all of the reds and not all of the blues, but some of the blues, some of the reds, and the white in the flag. I substituted the Silk Lame. So that is where I'm at, and I'll be working on it a little bit every week. I was initially thinking I was going to do this as a monogamous stitch and just stitch it until it's done, but let me tell you, me and Mirabilia white dresses, we don't like each other at all. I always seem to pick Mirabilias that have huge white dresses. I did, my very first Mirabilia finish was Roses of Provence and lots of white. My next finish for, with a lady with a dress, because I've done other finishes, like I've done some of the Nora Corbett reindeer, and I did Luda, which is more just like face and more, it's just profile, it's not the full body with a dress. Cinderella was the next one that was a full dress, and that had lots of white. And now I'm realizing, I thought Queen of Freedom had a little bit more of the grays and stuff, but no, there's a lot of white. There's still a lot of white. So a little bit at a time. Her dress, I'm not substituting the Silk Lame braid. Her dress, I'm doing just a DMC white because I wanted the flag to stand out, but her dress doesn't need the sparkle in it. Except at the very bottom, the little bottom fringe area of her dress that has the blues and the reds. I think I might do that. But yeah, so that is where I'm at on this one. So these are the only two projects that I've worked on this week. I've thought about a lot of projects. I've thought about a new start that Amanda Lucky Chance Stitcher and I are thinking about doing. And I'm kind of waiting for her. When she starts, I'll start. She's got some goals in mind that she's gonna it's kind of like her incentive piece. So when she finishes certain goals, that's going to be a new start for her. So I'm going to start it when she starts hers. I might as well show you. I don't think she would mind if I showed you. Hopefully she doesn't mind that I'm showing, because I don't know, maybe it was supposed to be like something, a reveal or something, but it is the Nora Corbett Bluebell. Both of us have this pattern. So I think she was inspired by watching FlossTube and saw someone had finished it, and then she's like, wait, I think I want to start that one. I'm like, well, if you're going to start it, I want to start it, because like whatever Amanda does, I want to do, because she's the most beautiful stitcher in the world. And I always stitch all the things that she stitches, or I don't know, I wouldn't say I'm a sheep, but at the same time, when I see stitching that I love, that's beautiful, I want to do it too. So Amanda is definitely my go-to for inspiration on projects. I was very fortunate to already have some of the Kreinik in my stash, the number 4. So let's see, it calls for the 1432 and 093. These two are called for in the chart. It's a beautiful purple and a tealy color. And I also had the bead pack from when I bought it. I already had that. I opened it because I wanted to compare some of the bead colors. But it has everything in it. So when I bought Bluebell, it was a pack. It was the pattern and the bead pack. I got them at the same time. I try to do that, especially with the new releases of Mirabilias, because sometimes the bead packs have, if the chart calls for the Magnifica beads, you can't buy those individually anymore. It's like whatever's out there individual to purchase at a store is all you can get now individually, but they still manufacture them for the bead packs. So I usually will get both the new release pattern and bead pack to go with it, so that if in the future I want to stitch it, I already have all the beads, including the Magnificas, if it calls for them. Or, I don't know, at some point if I decide I don't want to stitch it and I want to sell it, I can sell it together as a bundle. So, or I could do it as a giveaway someday, who knows, you know? But, and then I was able, let's see, I had, where are my other, oh, I don't have them here. I had 2 other spools of Kreinik that I had in my stash that I was able to find and pull out. I don't know where they went. That's strange. I thought I put them in here. But anyway, and then I had one color that was, it was a green chartreuse. It was, what was it? A 015L is what I had. The chart calls for the Kreinik 015, and I had 015L, which is like a limey, I think it's more meant for like fishing. When they make the fishing lures, it's meant to be kind of reflective or luminescent. And so I was like, well, I could use that. It's probably not that much different from, I mean, it's still the same color gradient, but I was able to go onto Stitching Kitten, and I was able to get, she had it in stock, the 015. So I went ahead and got the 015. So that I am all set. I have the beads, I have the Kreinik. I don't have the fabric yet. I haven't gone through my stash to see if I'm going to use something I already have. I kind of like her on like a white or like a creamy, like an off-white, maybe? I don't know. I could see doing it on a color, but at the same time, there's this whole series of, what are they? The Pixie Couture Spring Garden Party collection. I really like these, and I'm thinking if I'm going to do, I either need to do them all on like maybe like a hand-dyed, not too mottled, but like a hand-dyed colored fabric, like a soft purple or pink or green, or, you know, for each of them, or do them all on like a white or an off-white so that they kind of go together. If you watch the Huga Stitcher, Samantha, she has done 6 out of this collection, including this one, which is beautiful. And she's done them all, I think, on the same fabric and the same size so that they can be a collection. And I really, really like that idea. So I think I might just choose one fabric that either complements them each consistently across. No, I might just do it on like a white or off white. I really like the way she stands out on the fabric. I do really like that. So TBD, to be determined. It's nice to have options, you know? So that's going to be a project coming up soon to start. Let's see, what else do I have? I also have another project kitted up. Sorry for zipper. Sorry, I always try to open zippers ahead. This is a Glendon place pattern. I've had this kitted up since last July, end of July last year. And I bought the pattern in October of 2024 when I was in Florida. I was driving through, it's not Brick City, but there's a cross-stitch store that was down there. I think it went through a transition, someone bought it. It's not Brick City. Is it Brick City? In Northern Florida. I was driving through because I drove there for a conference. And it was on my way to Queen City Stitch Retreat. I had a conference one week, and then the next week I was at Queen City Stitch Retreat. So I just drove to Florida and then drove back up through Charlotte and went to that and the retreat and then came home. So that was a long trip. But anyway, when I stopped there at that store, I saw this pattern, and I've never seen this Glendon place before. I know it's readily available. I had just never seen it before. I haven't seen anyone showing it on FlossTube. Maybe there's people out there that have, and I just haven't seen it, but I fell in love with it. My mom loved roses. She loved red roses, pink roses. She loved roses. And so I thought, I'm going to do this one. It's like a mandala, or it is a mandala. It's not like a mandala. It is a mandala. And I've got it all kitted up. It calls for, there are some Mill Hill beads, 2 packs of white Mill Hill beads, and then the rest is all dinky dyes. So I did go ahead and splurge and get the dinky dyes. I bought some of them from my local needlepoint store. I'm very lucky. My needlepoint store carries a whole wall of dinky dyes. And at the time I was like, oh, I'll just, every time I come into every time I come into the needlepoint store, I'll just get 2 or 3 until I have them all. So I got the first 3. I got these ones. Isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful colors. I got these 3, and then I was going to get the rest of them the next time I went in, but then I was like, no, I think I'm just going to go ahead and get the rest on 1, 2, 3 stitch. So that's what I did. So the rest, and I got the beads. So I got the 2 packs of beads, and I got the rest of the dinky dyes. They're so pretty. I really want to start this one sooner rather than later. And then I also found the fabric that is called for. It's a Picture This Plus in the color Petals, and it's a 32 count. And I was initially thinking I was going to do a 28 count. I couldn't find the 28 count, and I'm like, you know, 32 is going to be fine. I know that it shrinks a little bit. The hand-dyed process shrinks the fabric a little bit, but these beads are not going to be like all together. It's not like a fully beaded piece. So I think when you have the sparsity of the beads, it's okay if they're a little bit big on the fabric because they're not going to crowd each other. Or at least that's my hope, is that they're not going to crowd each other. So yeah, so I've got the fabric. I've got everything ready to go on this one. And with the weather here in the US, in North America, is starting to warm up. Spring, almost spring here. We shouldn't be getting any more snow. We might get still some freezing temperatures at night, but here where I live in the Midwest, we should not be getting any more ice or snow. And the trees are starting to, the little buds are coming out, and soon we're going to start seeing some flowers, and this might be a really pretty one to start coming into spring and summer. So there's that one. And then there's one more that I have kitted up, and this one is, sorry again for the zipper. I wasn't necessarily going to show this, but oh my god, it's only like 20-minute video. I want to show you guys some of the stuff that I'm planning on. So I've always wanted to do the Rosewood banner Quakers, the seasonal Quakers. I've always wanted to start those. And I have the Rosewood manor called Baskets, which it's not one of the seasonal ones, but it's in a similar style with the Quaker motifs and flowers and baskets and stuff. And I have that one fully kitted up and ready, but I never started that one because in the back of my mind, I kept thinking like, I really, really love the winter Quaker. It's been my favorite out of all of the Quakers, the seasonal ones. I've always loved the winter one. So I have the winter Quaker. I got this from Karen at Needlework Galleria in St. Charles, Missouri. Every fall, every September, we have Needlework Galleria in St. Charles, which is just outside of St. Louis area. So the Needlework Galleria, a lot of vendors come in and they have like a whole hotel floor that they have all of the storefronts, and you just walk the whole floor and every doorway is like a little pop-up shop. And Rosewood Manor, Karen and her husband go there every year. And I think it's one of the only places that they actually do a show, like a trunk show. And they bring all of the things that are model stitched. Like when you see all of the model stitches in person on the walls, like they hang them up everywhere and they display them everywhere, you want to buy the whole collection. And the whole middle of the room is set up with like all of her patterns. Like you can get just about everything unless it's sold out or unless it's out of print, but you see it in person and you're like, I'm just gonna go pick that out. And then not only in that, but she has the Valdani packs, which it was also there. So I got the Valdani pack to go with it. And she even has the coordinating fabrics to go with it. So I was able to get the Picture This Plus Dwarf 28 count. So this one is also ready to go. Now someone mentioned this in a FlossTube recently, and I'm sorry, I've been watching a lot of FlossTube lately and I don't remember who it was. So I apologize for not remembering all the names, but someone mentioned how if you look at the cover photo, this is the called for fabric, and I'm just going to double check and make sure I'm right. It says 28 count dwarf, Picture This Plus, and if you look at this, it looks a whole lot darker, and that goes to show you that these cover photos on the patterns don't do it justice, because look how faded that looks. And as much as I like how it looks here, when you see the actual model stitch in person and it's on the fabric that's called for and you compare it to the cover, the one in person in the called for is just remarkable. It's so different, and there's so many Rosewood Manors that I look at and go, oh, that's really pretty. And you see the cover photo and you're like, oh, that's really pretty. And then you see it in person and you're like, stunning. I have to have that. I have to have that. And it's really, really hard to go to Needlework Galleria and see all the stuff and not want to buy it. I was good last year. I only got a couple things. This was one of them. If I'm showing you that one, then I might as well show you the other one that I got at Needlework Galleria last year, since I haven't filmed since then. I have another one here. Is there one in here or two in here? Zipper again, sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. I think there's 2 patterns in here. Yes, 2 patterns and 2 pieces of fabric. I don't have the floss for this because I think it just calls for DMCs. I think, is it DMC? I'm gonna have to look real quick. What is it? Oh, sorry. What does it call for? Oh, it says it's Presencia. Presencia isn't that glittery? I have Presencia gold that I use for Mill Hill kits. The gold, whenever there's a kit, a dimensions kit that has the gold braiding in it, the gold filament for blending, I use Presencia 6000, which is a really thin metallic gold. I don't think I've used any other Presencia though. Presencia 1975, 2 skeins. Oh, okay, so it's not a spool. It comes on a skein. I'm gonna have to look at those. I don't think I have ever... Okay, well, I didn't even show you the chart yet, so I better show you the chart. It's called, there's 2 patterns in this one. The first one is called Peace Tree. And I bought this pattern because I saw the stitched model at Galleria. It was that good. There is so much color and glitter and sparkle. And I believe there's beads in this one too. There's Mill Hill, yeah, there's 2 packages of Mill Hill beads that are called for. Number 3048. I don't know them off by heart. Tell me a DMC number, like 948. I'm like, oh, that's skin tone, that's peach skin tone. 310, obviously everybody knows 310. 321, red. You know, you kind of know when you work with DMCs for a long time, you're like, oh, 3042, oh yeah, that's, you know, you kind of know what the colors are. It's, I've even though I've worked with beads on Mirabilias, I have no idea what the bead colors are. I don't know what the sizes are. If it starts with a 1, I know if it's a 100 or a 101, 5-digit number, it's a Magnifica bead, Mill Hill bead. All the other ones, I have no idea. Watch Deb from Traveling Stocking Stitcher. She recently did a video on beading. Specifically, she was focused on chatelaine beading, but it's beading across the board. And in her video, her tutorial, she shows some charts of like these ranges of Mill Hill beads mean it's this kind of bead, and these ranges mean it's this kind of bead. So if you're looking for that, she's got that in her video. It's a really good video. You should go watch it. So this will be fun. Presencia skeins. I'm gonna have to go look for those, or I'll just do a conversion. So the second chart is called Believe. That's what it is there. And this one was also model stitched, and I was able to see it in person. And this one calls for DMC 930, which is a dark blue, and B5200, which is a bright white. 4 skeins, and that's it, just those 2 colors. And then 1 package of Mill Hill beads, and I don't know the color. I'm guessing it's probably going to be like a blue, probably a dark blue color is what I'm thinking based on what I see here in the chart, or in the cover photo. So these 2 designs, I don't have the beads, I don't have the threads, but I can seek those out pretty quickly. I'm trying to do a no-buy this year. I have not been successful. Like I think I failed the first week of January, but I'm really just focused this year on just threads. So if I'm trying to shop from my fabric stash. I have some fabrics. I'm not like prolific like a lot of people with like drawers and shelves and bins and stuff full of fabrics. I do have some. I have a good stash, enough that I could probably stitch the rest of my life. The thing is that I have a lot of the same colors of fabrics, and so when I'm looking for something slightly different, it's like, I might have to go to Color and Cotton. I'm lucky I have Color and Cotton, 10-minute drive from me. But that's also very hard to do a no-buy when you live that close to Color and Cotton, let me tell you. But with this chart, when I bought it at Galleria, she also had the called for fabrics. And there's Crystal Feldspar from Picture This Plus. The crystal means that it's got the sparkle in it. And there's also Crystal Alchemy. So they're very similar in color. One's just a little bit darker, one's a little bit lighter. And I think it's the Peace Tree calls for the lighter one. Let's see, fabric. Peace Tree is the Crystal Feldspar, which is the bottom one, the lighter one. And then the Believe calls for the Crystal Alchemy. Both 32 count. It's my favorite. Actually, 32 count of just about every fabric is my favorite. The one fabric that I had a challenge with on 32, it's a Picture This Plus, and the color is called Storm, and she doesn't make it anymore, or they. I say she. I thought it was the owner was a she of Picture This Plus, but they don't make it anymore, the color Storm. And I had somebody actually contacted me on a video last year and said, oh, what's the color of your Cinderella fabric? And I said, it's Picture This Plus Storm in a 32 count. And she's like, oh, okay. And so she had been searching for it and she couldn't find it. She came back and she said that she had been researching, and I think she contacted Picture This Plus and said, I'm looking for your color Storm. It wasn't on websites, it wasn't sold anywhere. And according to what she had been told, Storm, that color is not made anymore because there was a change in the dye. Some of the manufacturing dyes, either she couldn't get it anymore or that there was a change of some kind. So she doesn't make that color anymore. And I'm very lucky. I actually had a full half yard and I needed a little bit more than a quarter yard for a fat quarter for Cinderella, but I still have like almost a fat quarter, a little bit less than a fat quarter to do another project on. So I'm kind of lucky. However, what I was going to say about that fabric, I had a little bit of trouble with that one because it really wasn't 32 count. And when I usually do Mirabilias on 28 count, because if it's a hand dyed, it does shrink a little bit, so it's closer to a 30 count. And I don't want the beads to have a hard time fitting on there because a 32 count of witch-alt fabric or Zweigart fabric where it's not over-dyed or hand-dyed or it doesn't have the shrinkage. It actually, a 32 is a 32 count. But when you do an over-dyed, 32 count will be more like a 34, 35 count, which means when you're putting your beads on, they're really going to have a harder time fitting on there. And this particular 32 count, the Storm, was shrunk even more than most 32 counts. And I know this because, well, first of all, working with it, it felt very, very tiny. But then at the Queen City Stitch Retreat last year, it was a Mirabilia themed. And so everybody on the rag table, everybody had brought their pieces, and I had brought Cinderella to work on because I wasn't finished it yet, but I was working on it. And someone else there at the retreat had it finished. And she said, mine's on 32 count. You must have done yours on a 36. And I said, no, it's a 32 count. And so we put them side by side and got a picture. If I have a picture, I'll put it in here if I can find it. And we did them side by side. Both of them were done on 32 count, and mine is significantly smaller. So 32 is not always 32, especially with a hand-dyed. So I do try to stick with a 28 count on any Mirabilia that's on a hand-dyed fabric because I just don't want to mess with bead crowding. And I didn't have too many problems with Cinderella. There's only around her neckline area there was a little bit of spacing with the beads, but I made it work. You know, sometimes you fudge, you just like take a bead out and then you kind of just like move them closer together, you know, stagger them or whatever. But I prefer not to have to do that because it's just like kind of finicky. So this Peachtree and Believe, I mean, we're coming into spring and summer here in the US and warmer weather, and I was thinking I was going to start these around the holidays last year, and then I didn't. So I'll probably hold off. When I start feeling like working on like holiday, Christmassy kind of stuff, I'll probably pull these out again and give them a start. But in the meantime, because my no-buy excludes threads, and in this case, I'm also going to say excludes beads. I'm gonna get the beads and the threads that go with these projects. Fortunately, Believe only has beads and B5200 and DMC 930. That could be a pretty easy one to kit up and very inexpensive since I already have the fabrics. And then the Peachtree, yeah, I'll have to go digging and see if I can find those Presencia threads. I'm really just not super familiar with them. I bought Presencia 6000, the gold one I talked about. I bought that one off 123Stitch. So I'm going to check 123Stitch and see if they have them, the skeins. But I think I talk too fast. Let me know if you think I'm talking too fast. I watch all FlossTube. I watch all YouTube in general. All YouTube videos I watch at 1.5 speed. And so I think I'm getting acclimated to how I listen to other people do their videos, and when it's 1.5 speed, I think now I'm on a video and I'm like talking the same way that I'm listening to other people, and I think I'm talking too fast. So if you find I'm talking too fast, go ahead and change the settings in your video. You can slow it down to like, instead of 1x, you can do like 0.5x and slow it down. I've also had a lot of coffee this morning, so that might be a contributing factor. But the last thing I'm going to do in this video, I thought I would show some of my finishes from when I was young. So I started stitching when I was 6 years old. Last year I turned 50. So that tells you how long I've been stitching. I had some gaps in there, you know, as young people do when you're in school or when you're in college or university or, you know, having children, or, you know, there's always phases of life where stitching maybe takes a back seat. And I've had some of those times, but stitching has been a very large part of my life, most of my life. And I thought I would show some of the finishes that I did when I was like around 9 or 10 years old. I had a book of mice. My very first cross stitch that I did was a stamped cross stitch of a rooster. And that's the one that I did when I was 6 years old. My mom took me out. She bought me this, it was a stamped, it had like all the X's on it. So all I had to do was just follow where the X's go. And she bought me a whole colorful rainbow full of like 5 or 6 different colors. And then she just like helped me figure out like what would look pretty where. And so I just went to work and figured out, I just stitched it. it was no counting involved. It was all the X's were on there, and that was a perfect way for me to learn how to do cross stitch. So I still have that piece. I don't have it here in my craft room. I'll maybe show it sometime. But after that, everything that I stitched after that was a gift. Like I made a little Precious Moments. They had all those books of Precious Moments miniatures. I made a little golfer to give it to my dad for Father's Day when I was 7. He doesn't golf. I just thought it's a golfer and men golf. So I made that for my dad. He still has it. He still has it to this day. The last time I went to visit him, he's like, hey, do you remember this? And he pulled it out and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you still have that. That's so cute. And I made him a needlepoint one time of a little girl. I think it's supposed to be Little Miss Muffet. Sat on a tuffet. And I can see certain parts of it where I was just like, I'm so done with this. And I was like probably, again, like 6 or 7 maybe. And it's in this little plastic frame that came with it as a little kit. And he still has that one too. And I saw it the last time and I looked and I was just like, oh yeah, I remember thinking this is really boring. I don't want to do this anymore. And there's like little areas where I didn't think you'd notice that I didn't stitch them. They're totally obvious that I didn't stitch those areas, but it's really cute. So yeah, I've been stitching a long time. But when I was, I think I was like 10 years, I think I was 10 because I'm thinking about, I moved a lot in my life. And so a lot of my projects or things that I've worked on or completed, I think about of like, oh, here's where I was living at that time, which means I was like around this year, like this age. So this, I'm pretty sure I was like around 10 years old. But I used to love cross stitch mice. That was my very first cross stitch pattern that my mom took me to the store to buy. There were 2 and they were both mouse themed. One of them was I Need a Little, I think it was I Need a Little Love or something like that. It's a little mouse that's actually doing cross stitch or sewing. And I just saw somebody recently on Instagram had shown that one, that they had done that like maybe 20 years ago. And I looked and I was like, oh, that was the first one I ever did. And then the second book that I got, which is where these ones I'm going to show you, there are a whole bunch of little mini mice doing all kinds of different things. I've done probably most of them in the book. And I don't know, I have the book, but I couldn't tell you where it's at right now. It's here in this room somewhere. But most of them I gave away as gifts. But I still kept these ones because they were ones that I either didn't have someone in mind to give them to when I made them, or I just loved them for myself. So these, and you have to ignore them. I really need to wash and iron these. They still are exactly the way they were when I took them out of the little mini hoops when I worked on them. And there's some staining on the fabric because they've been put away. So I need to wash them and do something with them. But the first one that I did out of that book, it's called, and they were little exercising mice. This one says, Jane Fonda, Eat Your Heart Out. And it's a little mouse doing aerobics with all the leg warmers, 1980s. And it's so perfect. I love that one. And then I did these 3 other little mice who are like, this is like the workout team that goes with them. They're all doing these little stretches and poses and stuff. So these are all done on 18 count. And I think I was testing to see what it was like to do 1/1 on 18 count. Yes, I did 1 strand. And they're pretty good actually, other than the black in this one. Again, ignore the stains, I'm so sorry. I'm obsessive now about washing my hands when I work on cross stitch, but when I was like 10 years old, probably not so much. So it's probably staining from the frame and like oils that are on my hands and stuff. But there's a part of me that's like, just leave it like this. Like this is part of my history. This is what it was like when I was a kid, and it's like having that piece of my history. I don't have a lot of things from my childhood. We moved so much that every time we moved, we had to purge stuff and get rid of stuff. I have very little from my childhood, but these I have. So, but other than the black, I think there's pretty good coverage. I was just going to say the 1/1 with the black probably just is the only part that you can see through the fabric behind it using 1/1 on 18 count. But anyway, and then the other one that I did, I was going to give this one to my mom, I think, and I don't know, for whatever reason I didn't. And I never finished it into a frame or anything, but it's just, this is no ordinary housewife you're dealing with. And I love that one. So that's the other little mouse that I did. So this is part of my history of my stitching that I still have for years and years and years and years. All of my stitching was gift stitching. So I don't have a lot of the stuff that I actually finished. My parents have a lot of my stitching pieces because I made stuff for them. I have a couple of things here that I have framed, not many. I have some finishes that are in my drawer. I have a dresser in we have a guest bedroom, and there's a dresser in there that I have my finishes in a drawer in there. I just kind of roll them to keep them from getting bent. I really probably need to wash some of them that are washable, not the hand-dyed fabric ones, but the other ones I probably need to wash them and iron them. They all need to be ironed. I would show you, but they all need to be ironed, and I don't have time for that today. Maybe I'll do a finish parade sometime. I don't have that many. I really don't. But again, I gave stuff away. I gave a lot of stuff away. Like high school, I was dating a guy in high school, and I made a beautiful hummingbird piece with a treble clef. I made a beautiful, it had a little hummingbird in there. I want to make that one again and keep it for myself. I loved that one so much. And I gave it to his mom for 1 year for Christmas, I think. So like I gave stuff away. I always had someone in mind when I started it, and I was always a monogamous stitcher. So I'd start it, I'd finish it, I'd frame it, and I'd gift it. That was until I discovered FlossTube. No, actually, probably when I had kids when they were really little is when I started realizing like, oh, I could maybe start more than one. That was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. That's crazy. And then I kept doing that, and I'm like, oh, I want to start that one. Oh, and I want to start that one. So now I have way too many. I have stuff going back to 1996 that are in progress, WIPs. And I have an idea to do a WIP parade again. I think it's going to take a long time to film it. And like I need a day where I can just like get everything organized. My craft room is a mess right now. I know it looks like stuff like everything's just chaotic. If I showed you my craft room, you'd be like, oh, how can you even be in there? It's just stuff everywhere. So I'm gonna maybe the whole week of before Easter, I have that whole week off from work. And I'm thinking that week I'm gonna get totally organized in my craft room. And maybe what I'll do is do some organize with me videos where I just like have my camera like here like this, and just like, or maybe on the other side of the room or something, and I just like, I'm thinking I'm going to take everything out of my craft room and then bring everything back in and put it where it needs to go. And if there's not a spot for it, then maybe it's time to think about purging it. So maybe I'll do some videos, organize with me. Let me know if you think that would be something you'd be interested in, or that just be kind of boring. I don't know. I like videos like that where I can just like put something on, if it's like an hour or an hour and a half video, and I'm stitching and I'm like, I just look over and I don't know, it's nice to be stitching but watching and stitching and watching, but not something I have to be like fully like watching, like have it right in front of me, like I don't want to miss a thing. So I don't know, maybe let me know if you want me to do that. As a part of that filming, maybe that's when I would actually go through and do a WIP parade. I don't know if you can hear, my weather alarm just went off. I don't know if you can hear it. I guess we have like a flood warning right now because of all the rain we've had. And we live next to the Mississippi and the Missouri River where they come together in St. Louis. Plus we have like 2 other rivers on other sides of us. Like, so we're high enough, we're not in a floodplain, but we're like surrounded by flooding. So we technically could get like, we could get like trapped. I have some coworkers who have been trapped before, like where they live. The rivers all around them flooded the roads, and they were just like trapped for like a week. They couldn't, like all the roads that they would try to get out of their subdivision were all flooded. So I'm not in that area, thank goodness. I think we don't have any flooding. I have been stranded in an area of flooding before, and I was going to work one time. But anyway, that's a long story. I was stuck there for a little while, but eventually I was brave enough, and not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to drive through flooded roads, but I knew that the water wasn't that deep at a certain spot, so anyway. Not a story for today. Let's see. I think that's all I'm going to show for today. And I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you have a wonderful stitching week. I might come back next week if I have any progress. That's the thing. If I'm only working on 1 or 2 things, there's not really a whole lot of progress to show. So I don't know. I could always come back and just show stuff again, like this. I guess like today I filled up 45 minutes of talking about things I have kitted up and finishes from the past. So maybe I'll do that. Anyway, it's been nice to be with you today, and I hope you have a wonderful week stitching. If you're a worker, I hope your work week goes well. If you're a home retired person, I hope that your week of joyous stitching is wonderful. I can't wait to retire someday. I don't want to wish it too soon, but someday when I retire, I'm looking forward to having my days where I can do a little more stitching. And if you are a mom of kids and you're busy with kids, enjoy those moments, because those moments go very quickly. I'm an empty nester now, and it's I'm still getting used to that. I don't know. It's just so many phases in life. Whatever phase you're in, try to enjoy the phase you're in, because it will change all too soon. As we know, the world around us is changing very, very fast. So the moment you're in, doing what you're doing, enjoy it. Enjoy every minute that you can. And if things are not going very well right now, hopefully things do get better, because we can all use a little bit of hope and cheer and love. And yeah, okay, well, I'm gonna say goodbye. Bye for now.